White House Press Secretary jean-pierre is disrespectful and rude to Fox News reporter Jackie Henrich during a White House press briefing. And we have Tom Cotton of Arkansas grilling the head of Kroger for going woke. All of that and more here on The Paul Brad Show. Welcome to The Bald Brad Show. It is Tuesday, December 6th, and as always, support the show by hitting that like and subscribe button, as well as leaving your opinions in the comment section below regarding anything that we cover in today's episode. Folks, the YouTube algorithm really does love you engaging and interacting with the channel, so you hitting that like button and leaving us a short comment down below does yeoman's work in supporting the channel and forces the algorithm and AI to send our videos out there to new viewers who haven't seen our content or our channel. So your help and support would be greatly appreciated. And with that being said, our lead story of the day is dealing with the White House Press Secretary, Jean-pierre, clearly waking up on the wrong side of the bed because I don't know what crawled up her butt and died, because she is being extremely disrespectful, rude, and condescending to Fox News reporter Jackie Henrich, who asks her a litany of questions here. But just wait till we get to it, folks. Support us by hitting that like and subscribe button. Without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Okay. Just a follow-up on every question. If the president is not going to make time to visit the border during his trip tomorrow to a border state, will he do it in New Year?
Look, I addressed this last week about the president visiting the border. I'm not going to go beyond what I just laid out. I think, and we believe, the question again, as I was just answering to your colleague in the back, is that what are congressional Republicans going to do to actually deal with this issue? Instead of doing political stunts, many of their political stunts that hurt families, that hurt kids, that hurt children, right? That hurt people who are coming here to try to seek asylum, leaving a dictatorship. Instead of going to the border and talking about things that not going to actually deliver and keep our border safe, why don't they work with us? Why don't they actually do something? Why don't they actually, help the president get the funding that he requested, historic funding, into the Department of Homeland Security? That's one way of doing that. But again, they're playing political games and doing political stunts.
Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. And God forbid Jackie Henrich follows up, which is what her initial words were, on a question that was presented last week that could have changed since Joe Biden's going to a border state. You would think that maybe he would visit the border, of which he breaks records from any president in United States history in terms of illegal immigrants coming into the country. But she doesn't want to answer that, and she's going to spin it and blame it on Republicans now. Like, well, they don't want to help us. What about the 2 other years that you had to do it yourselves? But you didn't want to do it. And when you tried to do it yourselves, you just called it a challenge for 2 years, even though there was a massive crisis going on down there. And then you're going to call them political pawns that we're utilizing as Republicans to send them to places of which they want to go, but clearly that's harmful. Meaning you get to give them a pamphlet, say, where the hell do you want to go? Do you want to go to Washington, D.C., New York, Philadelphia? Where do you want to go? You get to choose, and we'll bus you there. And they get to choose it, but somehow that's harmful. But we're not going to talk about the Americans that are being killed by the drug cartel, the fentanyl, these people that have multiple offenses that have been here illegally 3 or 4 times and continue to get deported and just kind of coming back into the country because they don't want to secure the border, but they're going to tell us that the border is secure and they're locking it up and that they're figuring it out. This is so tiring, folks. It's so disgusting. But this is what she's going to kick off with. Let's continue here.
The reason I ask is just because the president had said previously that he hadn't had a lot of time to get to the border. He's going to a border state tomorrow, so you think maybe there would be time there. And if there isn't tomorrow, can you say at this point that he...
What I'm saying is tomorrow he's going to actually focus on an issue, a bipartisan issue that was voted in Congress, the CHIPS and Science Act, something that is going to deliver for the people in Arizona, creating jobs and making people's lives better and making sure that we are bringing manufacturing back into the U.S. That is critically important. Now, what I'm saying, the second part of that to your question, if Republicans officials truly want to deal with immigration, they truly want to deal with the border, then they would stop doing political stunts and actually work with us on the plan that we have put forward, which they are not. And that's what we want to make very loud and clear. There's ways to.
No, you made it loud and clear, lady, that you don't give it to about the border. I mean, you made it really, really clear, especially in this line of questioning here, which you're not answering. You're just coming up with your own questions every damn week here. When somebody asks you something, you make your own question and answer it. She asked you at any point next year, in an entire year, in 365 days, is the guy going to visit the border, and you can't answer it. You can answer simple damn questions at any point here. I'm fed up with it. My viewers are fed up with it. The American people are fed up with it. The reporters are fed up with it because I talked to some of them behind closed doors on the social media apps. We're all tired of it, Karine. Answer the damn question. You're going to say he doesn't have enough time to visit the border states. What the hell is he doing? In an entire year. It will have been 3 years then at the end of next year. The dude hasn't visited it one time, but yet the other week you told us with Peter Doocy that he actually visited it, but then you don't want to follow up with actually saying when he visited the border. I'm so tired of it, folks. It is frustrating. And I'm not even in the room.
Deal with this. Again, they can come and actually do this in a bipartisan way, just like we did with the CHIPS and Science Act.
The trip is obviously to Phoenix, not to the border, not to Georgia, which is sort of a pressing issue for Democrats, for the president. Have Democrats determined that a visit to Georgia would not help Senator Warnock's reelection bid?
The president actually, and I actually already answered this, and I'll just repeat what I just said. The president, and I want to be very careful about talking about an election that's happening tomorrow because it's an on.
She's going to say something with the Hatch Act. She always like, well, I have to watch the Hatch Act. It's the Hatch Act. Like every time she answers anything like about an election or whatever, oh my God, it's the Hatch Act. Like she repeats it like 20 times. God forbid somebody repeats a question and asks for a follow-up, but you get to repeat yourself all the time, Karine. Your same messaging, your same damn notebook that ever answers questions. You go ahead and answer the questions of never which are being actually presented to you that you're just coming up with yourself. And can I just give a pat on the back to Jackie Henrick here at Fox News of just being professional, you know, not taking her smugness to heart here, just doing her job, acting sweet and polite. You know, by the way, she looks great after her vacation. So, you know what? Clearly, vacation does yeoman's work. You're doing a great job, Jackie. Keep it up. But let's continue here.
Ongoing. It's an election, and I'm covered on the Hatch Act, so I'm not going to comment on that specifically. But when we look back on the president's role during the midterm elections, he played a significant role for Democrats. It was because, again, I just answered this question, is because.
I'm sorry, I gotta pause it because they think that the guy did a great job for them. There's a reason why they don't want to chauffeur Biden out to like the main areas. That's why he was like chauffeured out to these like unknown areas of the United States where nobody would see him. Give me a break. Though. Well, you know, he played a big pivotal role in all this. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Shut up. Oh my. I had to pause it because I would just laugh continually at what she's saying here. Does anybody really believe that Joe Biden's the face of the Democrat Party and that's who they really want there? There's a reason why we didn't see him on the main areas of the Democrats during the midterm elections there on the podium. You know, like you see with Trump, right? Trump would, they're beautiful. Okay, let's look at Ted Cruz here of Texas. Ted, why don't you come up here, Ted? Good old Ted. Let's bring up, right? You don't see Joe Biden doing, okay, Raphael, let's bring up this guy. Who's next? Where am I? Am I in Florida? No, Mr. President, you're in Pennsylvania right now. Who's Fetterman? Who is it? Fetterman? Ted Cruz? Like that's Joe Biden for. There's a reason they don't want to show for this guy out because he sucks.
Of the way he made the contrast with Republican officials, again, who wanted to who talked about putting Social Security and Medicare on the chopping block because they were upset about the Inflation Reduction Act, which is a historic piece of legislation. It's going to lower costs for American families. That's what they were upset about because we were saying we wanted to make sure big corporations pay their fair share and not put it on the little guy. And that's what they put forward. And the American people spoke really loud and clear. That's not what they want. They want us to continue to fight for their freedoms. They want us to continue to fight for democracy. And, you know, that red wave never happened. Go ahead.
Real fast, Karine, just real quick on Twitter, because you guys said you're keeping a close eye on Elon Musk's ownership, and this is the first time we've talked to you since you released the files a few days ago. Is it the White House view that decisions at Twitter were made appropriately in terms of decisions to censor this reporting ahead of the
Let
election?
me, you mischaracterized actually what I actually said. You took it out of context when you asked her a question. Look, when I answered the question, and I actually already addressed this, about how.
Who cares? Who cares if you already addressed it? Address it again then, damn it. We've seen this so many times on how I don't know what it is. I don't know if she has a problem with Jackie or what, but she did this before of like, well, I've answered that. And then Jackie goes, well, I need a follow-up. Can you get more clarification on it? We'll read the transcript. And I said in the show before, this was like months ago, of like, well, if she doesn't understand it, why would her going to the transcript of what you said previously help her understand it further of what you're trying to get her to do? There's some beef between these two folks. There's some beef, and I wish Jackie wouldn't take it. I understand there's a professionalism, and she's doing a fabulous job here. But God, oh God, is this lady disrespectful to her? I don't like it one bit, because Jackie's my girl, Peter's my man, and so is Philip Wegman of Real Clear Politics. I don't like when they get messed with or treated disrespectfully, because look, they have a job. They're part of a corporation. Okay, they don't want to be fired. They got an image to uphold. Me here in the Ball Brad Show, I'm gonna stick up for them, folks. These are our people. These are true American patriots. I'm gonna stick up for them. I ain't beholden to any corporation. Nobody's paying me a damn dime to do this. Gotta stick up for them, folks.
The White House and the administration is seeing what's happening on Twitter. We follow also what's going on, just like you guys are reporting and just like you guys are seeing. And what I was commenting to is like, yes, we're seeing what is happening, just like you all are seeing what's happening with Twitter. So just want to clear that up, because you definitely mischaracterized what I said or put it out of context. And so can you ask your question again?
Yes, I mean, my question.
Oh, how the tables have turned. Oh, can you ask the question again? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you already answered it, Karine. Why do you want to hear it again? So it's okay when you don't listen, or it's okay when you don't do this or that, but when somebody else does it, God forbid, talk. Whatever. We'll just ask the question again, and thank God she's asking it a second time. We'll see if she actually answers it.
Was that you had said, I think 6 or so days ago, that the White House was watching closely the situation at Twitter after Elon Musk's ownership of it with respect to misinformation. And because these files were released on the basis of, hack materials clause at Twitter, decisions were made to censor reporting leading up to the election. My question was, is it the White House view that these decisions were made appropriately in light of what has come out?
Which decisions? By whom?
By Twitter.
By Twitter on, okay. So look, we see this as an interesting or a coincidence, if I may, that he would so haphazardly, Twitter would so haphazardly push this distraction. That is a full of old news, if you think about it. And at the same time, Twitter is facing very real and very serious questions about the rising volume of anger, hate, and anti-Semitism on their platform, and how they're letting it happen. And, the president said last week, more leaders need to speak out and reject this. And it's very alarming and very dangerous. But our focus right now is helping the American families. I just talked about what the president is going to be doing in Arizona, talking about the CHIPS and Science Act, talking about how we're bringing manufacturing jobs back here to the U.S., talking about under this administration, more than 700,000 jobs have been created in manufacturing jobs, to be more specific. Look, what is happening, it's frankly, it's not healthy. It won't do anything to help a single American improve their lives. And so, look, this isn't. We see this as an interesting, coincidence, and it's a distraction.
Thanks, Karine.
I gotta love that whole messaging there, but she's not gonna talk about her, the way that she answers certain questions and pushes a certain agenda there of lying to the American people each and every week as being harmful or anything of that nature. But let's focus on Twitter and the things that they're doing. God forbid people voice their right to free speech on a social media platform. But you see how she spun it there? Nothing that she said at the end had anything to do with Twitter. Like, nothing. And they're not going to talk about, it's a coincidence that, they suppressed the Hunter Biden laptop story and they actually sat there and banned the New York Post and removed Kayleigh McEnany, the previous White House press secretary in the Trump administration, and they also banned Trump from Twitter and a bunch of other conservatives. It's all coincidence, you guys, before it was make-believe, right? Before it actually wasn't real. It was a conspiracy theory. You're all nuts, so you're not dealing with descriptive reality whatsoever. Now, it's just a consequence. Or sorry, it's just a happenstance, it just kind of happened. let's move on. Oh, but let's focus on what Joe Biden's doing. In actuality, he's not doing anything, folks. There's a reason why they're not sheltering him out in Georgia, okay? Moving into our next story of the day. If you haven't already, support us. Hit that like and subscribe button, folks. We're doing a campaign here of you hitting that like button and leaving a comment down below, even if it's a short one, because it really does force the YouTube algorithm to send our videos out to new viewers who haven't seen our content or our channel. Look what they're doing to Twitter, folks, and had been doing, at least should I say, for the last couple of years, suppressing conservative Republicans. Lord only knows what YouTube and Google's doing to us. So doing a little bit there of hitting that like button and putting a comment down below does yeoman's work, and at least supporting us to where we can actually make a difference in some way, shape, or form without so much human intervention coming from the execs of YouTube as well as Google, if that is happening. Well, we have here a little bit of old news, and I don't think it really hit a lot of the airwaves, maybe touched on Fox News, but I think it was glanced over kind of, and I do want to talk about it here. You have Kroger to pay $180,000 in a lawsuit over workers who objected to the rainbow apron. Now, we do have a video clip here of Tom Cotton just grilling the head of Kroger, but a little bit of backstory before we get into it. Kroger, again, is paying $180,000 to settle a religious discrimination lawsuit that was filed after 2 Arkansas workers were fired for refusing to wear the new apron with a rainbow logo that they believed supported the LGBTQ community, according to media partners at the Cincinnati Enquirer. Well, Kroger denied their apron promise. Rainbow symbol indicated support for the LGBTQ community in the case on behalf of the former employees that worked at the store in Conway, Arkansas. Workers at the store got the new aprons in April 2019 that included a rainbow heart embroidered on the top left portion of the bib, according to court documents. Both of the workers believed the literal interpretation of the Bible, held religious belief that homosexuality is a sin, and sincerely believed the apron violated their religious beliefs. One employee asked to wear their name tag over the logo. I mean, they're like, hey, you know what? This goes against my religious liberties. I don't want to be fired. I'm willing to go with the show. I want to work here. Can I just put it over that? And what'd they say? No. Another asked for a different apron. Both employees were fired within 2 months. So it's so funny how they're willing to accommodate everybody else, which we'll see in the video shortly on how they want to be representative and inclusive of all workers. But God forbid, you probably have a conservative Republican that holds to certain biblical beliefs and that they don't want to sit there and actually have them be inclusive. It only works one way here, folks. If you notice that, it only works one way with some people, but when other people have it, no, we're not going to be inclusive with them. We don't want to make any certain decisions with them, but we'll force them to say, we can't force them. We could force them to say certain things, but you can't force them to say other things, which you'll see. It'll make it clear here, folks, in this video clip with Tim Cotton.
Thank you. Mr. McMullen, I want to address Kroger's workforce practices and specifically how you accommodate or how you treat requests for accommodation. Let's suppose hypothetically that Kroger had a vegan worker with strong ethical beliefs about animal welfare. If she requested to work outside, say, the butcher department and instead in the produce department, would Kroger accommodate that request?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. And it's one of the nice things about one of our retail stores. There's many different areas, and we routinely have people transferring between departments. Some of that is just personal interest. Some of that is to grow in their own personal career. And if you look at our store directors, 70% of our store directors started out as an hourly associate. So it's easy to accommodate somebody, and that accommodation is really based on their own desires and their own interests.
Would you make such accommodations based on their Christian beliefs as well?
We would not get involved in terms of religious beliefs.
Okay, the reason I ask is that you recently agreed to pay $180,000 to settle a religious discrimination case in Conway, Arkansas. In that case, 2 Kroger employees, Brenda Lawson, age 72, and Trudy Rickard, age 57, declined the directive to begin wearing a new store apron with a multicolored heart symbol on it. They, like many other of your employees, felt uncomfortable with the new aprons because they thought the heart resembled a gay pride symbol. Rather than make accommodations, Kroger fired these 2 employees. One employee simply asked to cover the symbol with a name tag, but Kroger refused even that reasonable accommodation. Are you aware of these terminations, Mr. McMullen?
Senator, I am not.
This was not a private lawsuit either by 2 disgruntled employees, Mr. Mullen. This was brought by the EEOC. So are you not aware when your company is sued for religious discrimination by the United States government?
No, sir, I am not. Not always.
Well, I'm disappointed by that.
How many lawsuits does Kroger have, excuse me, with the United States government? I mean, you would think that'd be kind of one of the top ones you'd probably want to look at when the government's suing you, or at least in some sort of court with your company. I get that there's a lot of frivolous private ones that are kind of like, whatever. They're kind of bottom of the barrel, which is why Tom Cotton brought that specific point up of like, this is a massive deal. The fact that you're in a lawsuit with the freaking United States government. No clue though. not a clue what's going on.
Are you aware that Mr. McMullen, are you aware that Kroger has something called an allyship guide for its employees?
Yes, Senator.
Okay. In the allyship guide, you direct employees to stop using sir and ma'am because they're not inclusive. Do you expect 72-year-old employees in rural areas of Arkansas to really stop using words like sir and ma'am?
If you look at our allyship guide overall, it's trying to support our associates in going forward and trying to be inclusive for everybody with all different beliefs. And when you look at our associate resource group, our associate resource groups were created several years ago for people with different types of interests. And we think it's incredibly important to be an inclusive, opening culture to welcome all associates.
Oh yeah, just convenient if all inclusive, but hey, screw the employees that want to still work for your company, put a name tag over them because they believe that this heart represents something they think is sinful and they don't want to have that over their own heart. God forbid, but we're going to be all inclusive. You see how these corporations are going woke. It's a bunch of bull crap, you guys. It's a bunch of BS. They're showing face. They don't really care. And they're going to sit there and screw over other people for the religious viewpoint, of which they have a right to do, over other people that can care two craps about the First Amendment of freedom of expression, free speech, and all this other stuff. I'm so tired of the woke corporations here sitting there just strong-arming the little man here that actually likes the Constitution, wants to uphold that, and they hold a faith, but they're going to present this stuff as if they're all inclusive. No, they're not.
Employees in your stores in rural Arkansas refer to other employees or customers as sir, as ma'am. Do they face disciplinary action?
Not that I'm aware of, sir. I would have to ask.
Are you still requiring employees to wear the apron with the rainbow heart symbol on it?
Yeah, if you look at this, we put in place an apron several years ago because our associates wanted to have a common dress code. The heart is the symbol of art. The Kroger's fundamental purpose is to feed the human spirit. And part of feeding the human spirit is the heart. And that heart is our fundamental strategy to support our purpose. The colors were not tied to any specific thing.
Well, I'm not sure I believe.
Why don't you just make it a red heart then? If that's going to be this, why do you have to add all these other colors and all this other stuff and the heart this, the heart that, whatever? Just make it a heart. Or, I mean, if the idea is that everybody needs to have kind of the same kind of uniform and everything like that, just remove the heart altogether and just have them have an apron and a uniform. Why do you need to add all this other stuff? I get that it's your culture, your mission, and all that other stuff. Then just make it a simple heart. Just make it red. But you're adding in all this color, this rainbow, this foo-foo stuff. We all know what it's for. That's why you're trying to get rid of certain language from happening because you want everything to be all-inclusive, which goes to support somebody else's theory of this would be for the LGBTQ plus community, that you want to have everybody in a kumbaya mood, which I get is a corporation, a company, that you would want a certain culture, a certain milieu to be presented. But when you're forcing people to go against their religious beliefs for something that we know what's really taking place, whether you say so it's not, makes you wonder why you going woke. And when you go woke, folks, what happens? You go broke.
That because it was introduced during Pride Month as a supposed sign of inclusivity, and a federal judge didn't agree with it either. That's why he rejected your company's motion for summary judgment, and you just paid $180,000 to two employees that you wrongly terminated. By the way, would you like to offer an apology here to Brenda Lawson and Trudy Rickard for the ordeal they went through?
I would need to understand more of the details, Senator. Thank you.
Okay. So is it the case that you are still requiring all employees without accommodation to wear this apron with the rainbow heart?
If you look at our apron would be required for all associates to wear consistently across the company.
Does it or does it not still include the symbol for which you just paid $180,000 to settle an EEOC lawsuit against your company?
It would include a heart on it, Senator.
So you still have to wear the apron, folks. Screw your religious liberties. Screw if you think it's a sin, because they're inclusive, you guys. They're See, they're inclusive to you when you're forced to wear it. That's inclusivity according to them, right? As long as it caters to the LGBTQ plus LMNOP soup community, then they're inclusive. But anybody else outside of that, no. See, you're forced. You have to wear it. If you don't want to wear it, get the hell out, right? You want to be fired. Get out. No. Screw your religious liberties, folks. Screw that. We're a pro-American company here. We're going to be inclusive to everybody except certain language in the corporate world or at Kroger. You can't say certain things, and you got to wear the uniform, which goes against religious liberties. No, but we're going to inclusive. We're all inclusive, folks.
And having settled that lawsuit, are you now going to grant accommodations to employees who don't wish to display a symbol that they may perceive as not aligned with their moral and Christian views?
Senator, I will thank you for the question. I will need to follow back up with our team with more of the details.
If this merger goes through, who's going to be making decisions about uniforms in the combined company and whether to grant reasonable accommodations?
If you look in terms of our fundamental uniform that was put in place, our associate resource groups work together in terms of designing the uniform, and we would use the same type of approach on a combined company basis.
Okay. This situation reminds me a little bit of the situation big tech companies have found themselves in recent years. They've come to Washington because they fear regulation from our Democratic friends or action by the Biden administration, and they expect Republicans, who are traditionally more supportive of free enterprise, to come to their defense. And I've cautioned them for years that if they silence conservatives and center-right voters across the country, if they discriminate against them in their company, they probably shouldn't come and ask Republican senators to carry the water for them whenever our Democratic friends want to regulate them or block their mergers. So I've heard a lot of questioning about that today, and I've read a lot about it in the news. And I'll say this: I'm sorry that's happening to you. Best of luck.
Damn. So, sometimes the door just hits you right in the you-know-what, folks. But this is where companies are going. This is where corporations are going. They're going woke, and they're going to go broke. I'm telling you, if they continue this stuff, I'm done with Kroger. I'm just not going to shop there. I'm not going to buy their products. There's a bunch of other people that I could buy products from if they want to sit there, go woke, and push this agenda and screw people's religious liberties, forcing certain speech in their corporation or their environment of where they work. Just won't buy it anymore. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. A little bit of a longer episode, but hey, I think it was a little bit fun. We got to say our piece here. Now you get an opportunity to say your piece down in the comments below. Engage with one another, folks. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you tomorrow here on the Ball Brad Show.